topic of this presentation is power units. Power units are modern Formula One engines. Until recent times, Formula One cars used to run on conventional internal combustion engines, which had been developed to improve the performance as much as possible. But 3 years ago, these ICEs were replaced by complex engines called power units. Power units are nothing but internal combustion engines along with 5 other components. These are the turbocharger, MGU heat, MGU kinetic, energy store, and the electronic control unit. The electronic control unit is basically used to control the working of the above 5 components. The MGU-K, MGU-H, and the energy store form the energy recovery system of the power unit. This is basically how a power unit looks. We can easily spot the internal combustion engine, which is attached to the battery pack, which stores electrical energy. The internal combustion engine used in these power units is turbocharged. Previous internal combustion engines used to be naturally aspirated, which means the air entering the internal combustion engine was solely dependent on the atmospheric pressure. But in these power units, air enters the cylinder of the engines as a high speed jet of air particles. The advantage of this is that it improves the combustion process and improves the efficiency of the engine. The turbocharger is basically a fan-like rotary device which uses the exhaust gases to rotate a compressor, which is used to compress the air into a high pressure stream, which then enters the engine and undergoes combustion with the fuel. As I mentioned before, having a turbocharged engine is way more efficient than having a naturally aspirated engine. The energy recovery system forms a very important part of the power unit. It basically has 3 parts: the MGU kinetic, MGU heat, and the energy store. The MGU kinetic is a motor generator unit which is attached to the braking system and the crankshaft of the engine. When the car brakes, the crankshaft of the engine gets attached to the drive shaft of this motor generator unit. And as the car is decelerating, the crankshaft is still rotating. So along with the crankshaft, the drive shaft of the motor generator unit also rotates, producing electricity which is stored in the battery. The MGU heat is also a motor generator unit which is driven by the exhaust gases. The exhaust gases leave the engine cylinder, drive this motor, and then escape through the exhaust pipes. Again, the energy generated is stored in the battery pack. Whenever needed, the electrical energy stored in the batteries can be used to accelerate or propel the car forwards. The energy recovery system alone produces 160 brake horsepower, whereas the internal combustion engine produces almost 600 brake horsepower. One important fact about these power units is that the amount of torque generated by them is very high. This is because along with the internal combustion engine, the energy recovery system also contributes to the net torque acting on the drive shaft of the car. So the torque generated is very high. This is a comparison between the power unit and the internal combustion engine. Power units produce more horsepower than the conventional internal combustion engine. Also, they are more efficient than the internal combustion engine as they harvest energy which would have been wasted. Also, the torque produced in power units is way more than the torque produced in the conventional internal combustion engines. But the power units do have their own disadvantages. The first one being that as the battery is getting charged and discharged continuously, it heats up to a very high temperature, so complex cooling systems are needed. Also, power units are way more complicated to design and implement when compared to the conventional internal combustion engines. So power units have more reliability issues. I would like to conclude by saying that if these power units are developed and manufactured such that they can be used in normal road cars, then it's going to reduce the amount of fuel which we consume. It's going to reduce the amount of money spent on these fuels, and more importantly, it is going to reduce the amount of pollutants being released into the environment. Thank you.